Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary
Celebrity, Landon.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we're trying to find the best player in Big Brother history. And it's taking us quite a while. It's going to keep taking us quite a while. We are still in round one. We're getting close to halfway in round one. More on that soon. But we have another great guest with us today. We're going to send 3 more players packing out of contention to be the best in all of Big Brother history. I am Matt. I'm here with Aman. Aman, how you doing?
Hey. I'm good. Glad to be back for another week of matchups. 6 players in, 3 survive. And you're right. We're so close to, what is it? Maybe like 4 more episodes or 5 more episodes until we're halfway.
I think it's 2 after this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're just right on the cusp.
Yeah. So again, more on that soon about what's going on around the halfway point. But today's not the halfway point. Today we have another great guest with us today. One of the many great silent podcasters. Today we're joined by Katie. Katie, how are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
We are so good. So excited to have you here. To keep spinning this wheel and to hear some of your thoughts on Big Brother, because you guys are, like I said, over on Silent Podcast, talking through the seasons as well. So excited to hear your perspective on whatever 6 players we get today. I don't know if, we're going to start from the beginning. I guess that's my first question to you. We haven't gotten a good origin story in a while. You want to walk us through yours, Big Brother origins?
Yeah.
Sure. I have, maybe the same as many other people, but I remember Big Brother from back in the day. But I was an MTV person, so I was a real world person and then challenge person. So that was my true reality competition roots. But I remember watching like Big Brother clips from The Soup, which I just remember Will and oh my God, I'm already embarrassing myself. Shannon from season 2. Scrubbing Hardy's toothbrush in the toilet bowl from The Soup. So that's like my first intro to Big Brother, but that's not the real one. The real one is Celebrity Big Brother season 1 US, because I had to hear Omarosa spilling the tea in the, about whatever was happening back then that we don't have to talk about. But that hooked me. I think I started watching the feeds that season, and then I went immediately into Big Brother 20. And then I started doing, during the pandemic, just watching some of the older seasons, and I've been hooked ever since.
If that was to happen today, I mean, we know Celebrity Big Brother hasn't been consistent throughout the years, but like some people are thinking there's a world where we get it this upcoming cycle for the Winter Olympics. Like, are they going to do it again to us? Like they were like, oh, this is the greatest thing, who's in the White House? We can get the juice out of these people, Scaramucci the next season. Are they going to do it again if there's...
The only thing that has not happened yet is, because the 3 things we need to happen, right? Trump needs to be president. Ding. Another season needs to happen. Almost ding.
Possibly ding.
And then Trump needs to now start firing the people that he has hired already. And he hasn't done that yet. Is it on the horizon? Probably. So we've
got to be close.
Yeah. It's been almost like what? It's been like what? A month and a half. I'm sure someone's working his nerve. I'm sure, it's on the way for sure. So.
I don't know if we need it again. Celebrity Big Brother, we need that part of it. I don't know if we need it again.
Because the whole charm of the first time was like, if you can say charm, I guess the draw of it the first time was like, it was his first time, and people were waiting for like the schadenfreude of watching all these people that backed him the first time get ousted. But now I feel like it's like the novelty has worn off. Now people are like, well, bitch, when fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. So it's like whatever.
Yeah, we're not laughing this time.
Yeah.
No one's really finding humor in the situation this time like we were back then. So in some parts of it anyway, back then.
Yeah, if you watch any of those seasons, as they I think are still available on Paramount, unlike half the seasons they do try to take away from us in one way or another. We were just talking about that before we got on. But you definitely see the pushing of that narrative throughout season 1 and season 2 of Celebrity, and season 3 not so much, because that wasn't they didn't have anybody cast from that orbit, I don't think, unless I'm forgetting. And it was just the Todrick and Misha show, which was horrible. but that might come up today. It's been a little bit since we've had celebrity come up on the wheel, but Katie has some celebrity on her wheel, so we'll see if today is the day. Katie, with all those seasons that you were just talking about, the ones you were watching the feeds for or not, you have any favorite players or favorite seasons?
I'm a Dr. Will girly, so season 2, season 7 are my top. I also love Danielle, which I know these days, if you are Traitors fans, maybe is a controversial opinion, but I still love her.
In the trenches,
So
baby.
yeah, we really are in the trenches for that one, but still love to watch her play. So 2, 3, I do like maybe controversial. I do like 8. I do like 11. Like those are just messy seasons, which I do. I love the gameplay, but I also love the mess. So those are fun. Those
That's
are
the
probably
MTV fan
my
in
top
you.
few. It really is. It's the problematic old school challenge fan in me coming through for those seasons for sure.
Yeah, I feel like once or twice in my life I've referred to BB9 as like an MTV version of Big Brother. So just along the same lines of looking for the drama and sometimes incredibly messy people. Aman, you had a reaction to the Danielle Reyes. This is the first podcast that we are recording post Traitors finale. So I have to imagine most of you out there listening have heard this. This is going to be 2 weeks after the fact. If you want to skip ahead and not hear any Traitor spoilers for the finale, skip ahead. But Aman, did you have anything you wanted to say about the Danielle and Britney of it all?
Yeah, I mean, well, my suspicion was correct. I thought that Danielle was going to be out. I didn't want it to be true, but I just felt like I just saw it on the horizon. Yeah, I mean, both of them are to blame, in my opinion. Like, Danielle, it's your fault for some of the histrionics. You did not need to draw as much attention to yourself as you did. And also, you should have got rid of Dylan's ass a while ago. Okay, I understand that you need people that you know are going to be on your side, but you knew how like savvy he was. You knew how observant he was. Like, why did you not think that at some point the same thing that Boston Rob did to him, he wouldn't suspect that you were also doing to him? So she should have pushed for him to go. And then Britney, you should have kept the faith, girl. All you had to do was force the tie. At that point, someone is probably going to go home by chance. So you have a 1 in 6 shot of going home. And in the event that the both of you stay, you have the seeing power. Obviously, you wouldn't know that until Alan tells you that you do. But then you and Danny can use that so however you want to use it. And maybe that gives you 1 more week. And even if it doesn't and Danielle still goes home, you can still win as the sole traitor. I don't know. I just wish that she would have just a lot, like just but it is what it is. I can't be too mad at Gabby and Dylan. Ivor is whatever and Dolores is whatever, but such is life.
Yeah, I mean, we are but 4 or 5 days post finale at this time of recording. Katie, do you have any finale thoughts to throw out there?
I mean, Aman, I feel like you just read my mind and said everything that I have thought about it. I was rooting for our girls, but unfortunately they couldn't pull it out. And to your point about Dylan, I think Dylan always was going to care a little bit more about the game and playing the game than he was about the relationships. He really seemed to, have some game savvy in him. It came out while he was playing. He seemed to be a fan of reality competition shows, so he wanted to have a successful showing, and he did. But yeah, I wish Britney just took the chance, didn't change her vote, and I would have loved to have seen just whatever the fallout was. I would have just loved to see it. I hated that she switched it and kind of caved into the pressure and I guess misread Dolores's reaction, but that was the biggest mistake, is thinking Dolores had any clue at that point what was going on. I think that was Britney's biggest mistake, unfortunately. But overall, fun season.
I'm so mad at myself because I really gave myself hope in like the hours and days before the finale. To plug my thoughts elsewhere, check out the Free Agents podcast where myself and Scally talked all through the season, but definitely as well as the finale and whatnot. Before the finale, we got together and we did a podcast that we titled The Oral History of Britney Haynes and Danielle Reyes. And we walked through just the two of their history together, a 45-minute podcast, because between the two of them, it's we talked through Danielle, Britney real quick individually, the BB-25 laser beam, Reindeer Games, and then where we got to in real time on the Traitors. And it was like, what a story if these two were able to, what I really thought could happen. Britney ties up the vote. Ivor goes, they snow Dolores, and then Britney and Danielle walk away as reality TV champions. The vision was there. I was so excited. I was like, we're going to have it a couple of days from that podcast. I was like, they're going to get their crowns. The reality has been setting in, and it is not fun. But as much as it's not fun for me or us, the fans, particularly like Britney and her exit press seems like she's struggling getting through those interviews of like, it's probably harder on her than it is on me, the fan. So that's tough. But they gave us great entertainment. The whole cast.
What do you mean she's struggling with I haven't seen any of the interviews. Is she like, is it a lot of regret, or? I
think it's been a lot to process of like the personal stuff with her and Danielle, like the relationship, and it seems like it's okay, but like, you know, it's still going to be more broken than it otherwise would have been had she not, I guess, turned on her again. And just like all the questions and like the, you know, what could have been, the fact that they could have had this picture perfect ending. So just like things not going their way.
I will say this about Britney. I feel like, yes, you know, the fans are going to give her a hard time, and I still feel like she should have kept the faith. But at the same time, what she said during the reunion, I felt like was a pretty appropriate response, because I feel like Danny was really putting a lot of guilt on Britney about what happened. But Reindeer Games was not. You didn't spend a lot of time together in Reindeer Games, okay? Like,
they didn't live in the house,
right? Like, and if you were really trying to base like this type of loyalty off of the day that you guys probably spent together with Frankie Grande filming the beginning of Big Brother 26 or 25, whatever that was,
25,
and then the probably like what 2 weeks, if that you were in a hotel room half the time and in the Big Brother house with Reindeer Games half the time, like, you don't really know each other that well. So I don't think that like she owes Danielle her Traitors game. Like, it's just,
what a stab in the heart when Danielle goes, "You did it to me again."
Okay,
like, this hurts. It's tough.
You should have got Dylan's ass out. You would not have had Dylan to worry about pushing against you if you would have got him out.
Yeah, I mean, not to make this a whole Traitors podcast, but you know, the murder of Tom Sandoval, and Katie, I was going to ask if you had any Tom Sandoval takes. Your current Blue Sky name reflects some Tom Sandoval thoughts. But I still think the season, I don't think it was lost in that moment, but it certainly wasn't won in the moment of murdering Tom Sandoval instead of Dylan or somebody else. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think Dylan or Gabby probably would have been a better decision in that moment. But Tom was also suspicious of Danielle. So, you know, I think it was only a matter of time, unfortunately, with Danielle. I think the benefit probably of keeping Tom at that point was that maybe the Dolores feud, she would have been against, you know, following any of what he was saying instead of actually trusting Dylan. But yeah. Can we also just say how much of a bag fumble it was for Paramount Plus to remove Reindeer Games before the season of The Traitors? It's like the most popular reality show.
Yeah.
I just want to know like what that meeting was like. You know, like people got together around a little table in the Paramount office and they said, "All right, so what has to come down this week? What do we want to make room for with all these new shows coming out?" Reindeer Games, it's not Christmas time. Nobody's watching that.
Right.
And nobody in the room was smart enough to say, you know, who's on another show right now, and specifically talking about the Big Brother Reindeer Games at the reunion of one of the most popular shows, reality shows on television in a hell of a long time. All right, well,
can't ask for better press than that, or better promotion than that. Truly,
we have it.
I don't know what's going on over there. They're crazy.
I will say for Tom Sandoval thoughts quickly.
Yes.
He makes great TV, but that does not make him a redeemed person. Those are my thoughts. He's very entertaining, and that's where it ends.
Tell him
I
that.
would love for everybody to stop with the redemption storyline of Tom Sandoval.
In his mind, he is on cloud 9. He's ready for Celebrity Big Brother. So
which I again would watch. I would watch it, every second of it.
Yeah, this is Amon's, I think, first experience with Mr. Sandoval. So
it is. It is. So, but you know, I tend to go along with the opinions of all the people that have watched him, because everybody seems to have the same opinion. Like, so.
Yes, we've known this man for a long time.
Yeah, it will not be the last we see of him, even with his show technically canceled, or his version of the show technically canceled. He is ready to compete in all of these different versions of different competition shows right now. But we'll see. Right now, we're not talking about Tom Sandoval. We're talking about Big Brother. Katie, so you're manifesting season 2, season 7. I don't know. Anybody else you want to see, or seasons you would love to talk about today?
No, I think I'm open to talking about any. I'm excited. I'm excited to see who comes up. I love the suspense of it all.
Oh yeah. It is scary. This wheel, she is
I am a little
very
scared.
temperamental sometimes.
Yeah,
But
it's intimidating. It
nothing
really
you can
is.
do but spin
I'm
it.
intimidated.
So here we go. As we have said a couple times, every time that we look at this wheel, even with there's a lot of seasons here, but the wheel is getting smaller and smaller because we are about to be at that halfway point in the round. So it's going to start not being as shocking because we're going to know some of the names eligible to be pulled. With that all said, let's do the first spin of the day.
Let's do it. Let it rip. Let it rip, baby.
See what happens
nervous.
today. Got to send 3 more people packing.
I know. Oh.
All right. Up first of the day today.
Who is it? Who is it? Who is it?
BB Can 9, Jonathan.
Is
this
like,
9 or
Jonathan
11?
Is
11.
I was like, who is this man? But thank you for
11. BB Can 11, Jonathan Leonard.
These BB Can, these 11 and 12, man, they will always, some of these names will throw me for a loop.
I know. I only have somewhat of confidence in knowing who they are because I made the graphics. And so at one point or another, I had to know their name as I was attaching a picture and facts about them. Oh, but otherwise I would be so lost. But hey, look, the March, this episode, I believe, still March. And so we're still talking BB Can in celebration of what was.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But here we have this man. You may know him, you may not, but his name is Jonathan, and he was on BB Can 11. Amon, do we have notes?
We do. Jonathan, the Crown plus Santina was looking to evict Jonathan. Jonathan was a safer option in that his loyalties were pretty clear. This really was about Santina, who was the swing vote, and she opted to go along with the voting members of the Crown, saving Jonathan's ally, Hope. And that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. So, yeah, Jonathan is a player who, just like my quick thoughts before I turn it over to you two. I saw potential in him. I was thinking maybe this is a John Party-like figure at the beginning of the season. And as we were going through the season, I was like, oh, yeah, he's laying low. He's got friends. He's got people he's looking out for him. But it was a very strange week that ended up sending him home, where I believe you might have just said it, but I was looking somewhere else, that like Ty needed like a second or a third or something nomination, and it ended up just being Jonathan. And as a big threat, it was he was sent packing. But Katie, what else do we remember, if much of anything, about BB Can 11's Jonathan?
It's a doozy to start off with, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I remember Jonathan. I remember when the cast was released, and I feel like this was right around the times where we had like a few Kyles and a few guys that we were like not super psyched about that looked very similar to Jonathan. So he actually was a little bit of a breath of fresh air compared to some of the other Big Brother Canada guys that look like this. He seemed very nice and he seemed very loyal, which probably didn't work out too well in his favor, but he did, if I remember correctly, Canada's favorite player, right? So he did take home something at the end, which was good for him. But to be honest with you, he didn't stand out a ton to me. I do remember being pleasantly surprised by his gameplay. I remember, he started off a little slow, but I do feel like he got a decent sense of the game almost right around when he went home, if I'm remembering correctly.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I really just like had my eye on him as a possible winner, just given his, given just like who he comes into the game as, and like this, again, he was kind of laying low and not pissing people off. The specifics were that, it was Santina was given Canada's safety. It was like a fan vote to give one person in the house safety. She was going to be the target otherwise. And then Renee was on the block. Shania took Renee off the block. And now you have all of these options safe, where Ty wasn't going to put Claudia on the block. That's his showmance, even though they weren't always on the same page. And it just ended up being Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Jonathan is he's one of those players that is very, very nice, very, very kind, almost too kind for his own good, to the point where he's like, he does the whole, I'm not going to campaign against the person on the block next to me. Hope deserves to be here. And it's not, it's, it kind of just, once he was on the block, it was sort of like, oh, I'm in this position now. And the thing is like, this could have been an easier week for you because Santina liked you a lot. Like, and she probably was considering to keeping you first, but you're not really giving her many reasons to make you, or to make her want to keep you when you are actively campaigning for Hope to stay. So I think coming into it, obviously he had a pretty big profile. He's one of the many people to have argued with Zach. So, he obviously wasn't afraid of a little confrontation. I remember everyone comparing him to Chris Hemsworth. Everybody was calling him Thor.
Okay.
So I think that he definitely walked into the game with all of like the typical, big bro pros. But I just ultimately think that he wasn't one of those people that was really cut out for Big Brother. I think that he just was there to have a good time, win a couple competitions, even though he didn't win anything. And then that was kind of it. So
I know this isn't Santina's poll, but he was working with Santina at one point, or kind of throughout the game. Santina currently, I believe, competing on Canada's Ultimate Challenge, the Canadian version of the closest we can get to like MTV's The Challenge over in Canada. Adam Pike was on the first or second season, and now Santina is competing on this season. We'll see how far she goes.
I had no idea that even existed, but good for
Neither did I, but
well, there's
she's good TV.
She definitely was, and that's why she got the save that week, especially to piss off from fans, to piss off Ty, who was in power. But I don't know what I was going to say. Jonathan, not the most exciting first pick, but we got 5 more to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Katie, he was inoffensive, nice guy, little too loyal. To your point, I think probably not cut out for the game, but still a pleasant surprise based on, how he entered, and at least my first impressions of what I expected from him. So good for you, Jonathan.
When it comes to BB Can 11 and 12, we just had Daniel on very recently, and we were just talking about like, how different it was, of course, for us watching the non-feeds of the season, just the daily drops. So these players like really had to stand out in a much bigger way for us to, I guess, remember more about them. You have your koozies and you have your Baileys, and of course in 12 you also have returning players that are going to be big characters no matter what, because they are literally big personalities. But a lot of these like quieter players, like I feel like if we had feeds, you would have had all of us reporting on the feeds being like, oh, Jonathan is doing a lot of good work today, because I think he was.
Right. Yeah. I know it is unfortunate that we missed so much of that with some of these players, because I do think in 11 and 12 we had people who had the potential to kind of shine through their edit if we were able to actually see them play the game on the feeds, and the edited clips and the daily digital dailies, and it just didn't really give us what we needed. The second time around was a little bit better than Big Brother Canada season 11, if I recall correctly, but still, it's not the same, unfortunately.
Because your first season, Katie, was it 8?
My first Big Brother Canada season was season 8, which womp womp. That was a flop.
Womp womp. So you have in your BB Can, like from watching live, 8, 11, and 12. I'm glad you at least got to experience 9 and 10.
9 and 10. Yes.
For as far as feeds. Like what the hell are we doing? A COVID season and 2 non-live feed seasons. So,
but I got 2 great seasons with great feeds in between, at least. So
that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I'll take that as a win.
I will say also, while I pull up the wheel here for the next spin, I have seen a good amount of people, Amon, talking about their Big Brother Canada first watches that this podcast has inspired them to do. So people in the Patreon group, comment sections.
I hope that you guys are supporting each other and finding out ways to watch it. Because it is definitely like digging for a needle in a haystack these days. It's so unfortunate, especially with these digital dailies for the later seasons, because Big Brother Canada is already slowly becoming lost media, but with like the total lack of feeds for 11 and 12, it's almost as if those seasons don't exist. Like it's utterly annoying, but What are you gonna
It's
do?
sad because 12 was a good season.
Mhm.
Edited, at least. 11 was fine. It wasn't terrible, but 12 was a great season to watch, edited, and it is sad that that's kind of where we ended. We had a great winner, we had great players, but you're right, it is kind of a lost media, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, great. Everybody's watching BB Can now. At least they can keep up with the podcast and know who we're talking about. But I'm like, come on, Global, run us a check. And then I'm like, there's nobody in these offices anymore to run us a check because they don't work there
Yeah.
anymore. That
It
sucks.
felt like such great momentum when Paramount was like, "Here you go, Canadian seasons." I
I know
was like,
that
I
was
can't
so.
believe that they actually went ahead and did it. I was like, this is great. This is great cross promotion for Alyssa and everything. Like now more eyes will be on it.
You say Alyssa?
Arissa, excuse me. And now it's just like
Arissa's evil twin sister, Alyssa Cox.
The American version.
Spelled with an E.
Yeah.
man.
I do remember too with the most recent season. I don't remember if it was Big Brother 25 or Big Brother 24, but it did seem like they also gave them some Canadian seasons to watch maybe while in sequester because I remember hearing, I don't remember if it was Alyssa in Big Brother 24 or someone that I would not expect to be a Big Brother Canada viewer talking about the seasons. So I was like, oh, they're providing them some of these seasons as background.
I feel like someone like in a recent season mentioned like BB Can 6 was like something they watched.
I think you're right.
That sounds very.
And I was like, good. Like that's great gameplay, but also unless you're watching the feeds, you're not getting what you should be getting from that season. So unless you want to get a bunch of sponsored segments. Anyway, happy BB Can celebration month. Let's spin the wheel and see what random name from Big Brother Canada or US or celebrity or anywhere we get next. Who's it going to be?
Who's going to send Jonathan packing?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Autumn Daly.
Oh, no. Now that's a relevant name for all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
Have we all seen the Autumn Daly articles lately?
No.
Oh, no. Aman?
I don't think so. I don't.
Wait,
no.
Google search of Autumn Daly.
I think I remember seeing a couple of mugshots.
Oh no.
If you're looking for the updates there, I'm not directing you actually to go to TMZ because don't go to TMZ, but that's the site that's reporting on these things as far as I've seen. And that tells you all you need to know that.
Yeah. Who is the TMZ, like Big Brother correspondent over there? Because every time a Big Brother player is arrested, it could be the most irrelevant Big Brother player ever. And TMZ is on it. Like, they're like, oh, we're snitching. I'm like, what?
I mean,
leave people alone.
It's another one of Autumn's castmates that was also on there very recently.
Yes, he was.
But anyway, well, we have 19 days worth of Autumn and Big Brother 2 to talk about. Katie, we were just saying before the episode, you have these old school seasons on. We haven't had a lot of them lately come up on the wheels, so I'm excited to go back to some BB2 discussion. And you were manifesting this season, and
I did manifest.
Not Will, but it's Autumn.
Yeah. We'll take it.
Yeah. Aman, what do we have on Autumn's game?
All right. Autumn, a member of the other people. Autumn got into altercations with Chilltown members Mike and Shannon. After the house took note of her complaints about life in the house and decided she needed to be with her child, she was nominated in week 2 and evicted in a unanimous 7-0 vote, placing 10th.
So I just know these season stats pretty well, so I'm looking at it to confirm. I'm letting you know if Autumn loses this matchup, she'll be the first Big Brother 2 player to come up and not go through. Right now the season is 3-0. And BB Can 11 is performing so well in this competition that I would not have expected. They've already had 5 players go through to the next round.
Wow. And
2 players, only 2 have not. So we'll see how this matchup goes and shakes those numbers, but unexpected. But we're talking about Autumn here. Katie, what do we remember specifically about Autumn Daly on Big Brother?
So I actually just recently started rewatching Big Brother season 2. I only got a few episodes in, so I'm right at the beginning, right in Autumn's prime. And the thing that sticks out to me is one, just people were not generally a fan of her. She was a little needy, I guess. She was sleeping in the bed with Hardy in the beginning. He was not really feeling it. But the thing that sticks out to me the most is she got out of that car after not that long, like maybe an hour or like 30 minutes. It was not a long time where they, in the first, I don't remember if it was the first episode or second episode, but they were all crammed into that car and trying to win. And, she was like, I need this for my child. And then she just got out very quickly because she had FOMO from everybody partying in the house. So felt like that said a lot about Autumn's game right there and what her priorities were, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, we were just talking about another person from her season that's been in the news for different reasons, but in the same news line. And that is Mike Boogie, who a lot of her game, Amon, was tied to. A lot of association between her and Mike, not for very positive reasons. The dynamic that they had and how that all went down certainly affected her. I guess the way that she was seen in the house, but kind of also like Katie was saying, it's not like she had many fans regardless of the people she was in there with.
I think people sort of just didn't take well to the, as you stated, Katie, the neediness factor of it all and trying to immediately latch herself to a guy. I think, even in its infancy, the whole making the men the priority in this game, I think, was already something that was tiresome for people, and not even just Big Brother, but just like reality TV again in its infancy stage at that point. So I just remember her not really feeling as if like it just didn't. I mean, she wanted to be a singer, right? Like I remember her, talking about having all those aspirations, and a lot of her intro package was her like going to gigs or whatever, and that's fine. No shade on wanting to be a singer. It's just more so, I don't know if this is what you feel like it is. I feel like you think you're going to get famous, and to her defense, back then reality TV did make people a lot more famous than it does now.
That is true.
So I just don't think that she was ever really there for the game, and it's so funny that I was like, who's gonna send Jonathan home packing in the autumn?
See if I can see the wheel neighbors after we're done with her player card and see who the other options could have been, but I don't know if it's gonna be Autumn.
I mean,
the wheels have jokes.
You said it was different, like that Mike Boogie got arrested for something different, but it's pretty much the same. They both got arrested for theft. So
how was it?
Yeah.
It's just like both of them have been recurring characters on TMZ lately. Like I feel like we've seen 2 to 3 articles about each of them in the past while. I mean, to like make it less of a joke, like I do hope both of them get the help that they clearly need.
Of course, yes.
For sure.
I'm sure, we obviously all agree on that. But not the best news to see out of BB alum. Nothing we can do about it. But as far as her game goes in Big Brother 2, it didn't. There wasn't a whole lot to report on. Everybody kind of saw her as like this very flirtatious person, which sometimes worked for like an Allison Irwin a couple seasons later, but for an Autumn it just was shot down immediately. There was like the whole thing with her and Boogie of like that Boogie was trying to get with her for a vote or whatever, and she was stopping it, and it didn't get very far. And then Boogie, obviously, once Autumn's gone, is with Krista and engaged to Krista. Yeah. So what a chaotic season for the first proper BB season in the US. Just insanity.
She holds the honor of being the first person to be evicted unanimously. So there's that.
Is that
so? That's a title.
Yeah.
That's something.
Because they didn't vote in Big Brother 1, and who was evicted first? I don't think it was a unanimous.
Cheryl. No, Cheryl wasn't unanimous.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, Autumn.
Wonder what? Well, I don't wonder what an Autumn reappearance would look like today, given what we know. But like an Autumn in a good place, just like the same person coming into modern Big Brother, maybe with like perceptions from her fellow house guests, aka from society, a little bit different maybe than they were then. Unfortunately, not like 100% different, but a little bit different.
I could see her, being moderately successful in LA, maybe not as a singer, but as a songwriter, selling songs to some of the biggest names that we know of today, just happy, and content. And maybe she comes back on Big Brother Celebrity as a celebrity writer. I don't know.
Ooh.
Now
I like the story. I like the story you're writing for Autumn.
Yeah. I think it's
rooting for you, girl.
Yeah.
But as far as I don't know what we have to compare here. Autumn versus Jonathan. I don't know. What are we thinking? Katie, what do you got?
I'm gonna have to send Autumn packing, I think, unfortunately for her. I know she needs a win. I just don't know if this is the win that she's gonna get, at least from me. I think Jonathan, even though we didn't really get to see much of him on feeds because we didn't have feeds, it felt like he was still more impactful during his time in the game. And he did and again, I could be saying the wrong thing here, but I'm pretty sure he won America's oh my god, again, Canada's favorite. So like he made his mark. He made his mark. He was popular. So I got to give him that.
I can fact check that, but because to me, when you said that, I'm like, that sounds correct. And even if he didn't, it sounds like he would have won.
Yeah, I could be making that up just because he looks like the type of person that wins that in
like
Canada.
He has won it before, if not him himself. But in 2011, Jonathan Leonard was voted as Canada's favorite house guest and won $10,000. So that is what Google is telling me.
Yes, this is true. I also fact checked.
Is he winning this matchup though, Aman?
I mean, yeah, Autumn. I mean, I think that both of them sort of weren't like maybe great at Big Brother, but I will say that Jonathan certainly integrated himself into the house a lot more quickly than Autumn ever did. Again, Autumn is the very first person to receive a unanimous vote. So what does that say? I think that he was very well liked. I think that there was still a possibility for him to stay in the house, except that he just was not going to say a bad word against Hope. So he effectively kind of sent himself home a little bit. So, I think even with that, though, I think that obviously he's probably the more skilled player, at least socially. So.
Yeah. Can't disagree. This feels like a easy decision. For those of us who have not seen BB Can 11 or have and still forgot this man, I don't know if you happen to rewatch, you have some time between now and when he comes up again in round 2. So maybe we'll all refresh ourselves, but maybe not. So yeah, he's going to become the 6th player, 3-0 vote here from his season to go through to the next round, which is insane.
That's impressive. Some impressive stats for that season.
Some people have gotten good matchups, like Roberto, the second boot, Dan Zabo, the jury boot. Like these guys who, by all means, don't need to be in round 2, but have had good matchups and have found their way there.
Yeah.
While Autumn is the first one from Big Brother 2 to not advance. So, like you said, Katie, she could use the wins, but unfortunately, we couldn't do it here today.
Not this time, sugar.
Not this time.
So that is tough. But I feel like I had something else to say, and I guess I forgot. So with that, I was going to make a joke. I was going to say if one of these two had a patron vote, who do you think it is? But now I've ruined it because I told you it was a joke. I was going to try to pretend that like Autumn had a patron vote. And
I mean, I could see her getting a vote from somebody just for the fuckery of it all.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, like
who's not that far away of a matchup to be honest. I mean,
like if somebody happened to vote for Autumn here, I wouldn't be like, you're leaving the podcast right now because that's the most insane thing I've heard in my entire life. And Amon's done plenty of those votes before, so let's bring up the wheel and get to matchup number 2 of the day after Jonathan has advanced over Autumn. What's going to happen next?
I will say the last 2 names that popped up, I was like a deer in headlights. Like, who are these people? So thank you so much for the photos.
I think we're going back to old school BB. What a fun day. Amy Cruz.
Wow.
Oh, we are in the beginning times, baby. I love it.
Katie's wheel is gifting us some old school BB discussion, and everybody like type in the comments right now and say thank you, Katie, because it has been a minute.
It has been a minute.
So a relevant player here. We just talked a lot about Danny Reyes, and now we're going to talk about her, one of her co-house guests, Amy.
Yes. All right. Amy began the game in the minority. She formed a strong bond with Marcelas and smaller friendships with Josh and Roddy. Her inconsiderate actions led to fights with Kiara and Tanya. Despite her ally Roddy winning HOH in week 3, he targeted Amy as she was unpopular with the others. She was evicted by a unanimous vote of 7-0. Upon her return, a few weeks later, she began to align with Danielle and Jason. During week 10, Amy's luck ran out as Jason decided to cast the sole vote to evict her. She placed 4th.
All right. So for your stats on this one, only one player from Big Brother 3 so far has advanced to the second round. 2 have not. So Amy, you got a little pressure on yourself here. We'll see if we can make it 2 players to advance. But Katie, what do you have on Amy?
So admittedly, it has been a little while since I watched Big Brother 3, but Amy was definitely one of the standouts of that season for me, and I think probably many others while watching. I think as far as I remember from my original watch, wasn't super rooting for her in the beginning, but fully came around to her, especially as she started teaming up more toward the end with Danielle. I think, to make it to 4th place was an impressive run for Amy. And Amy's one of the folks I would love to see play again. If we had like an old school season or even just like a returnee season, second chances, something, would love to see a little more from Amy. And she's out there in the ether, right? I'm pretty sure she's on social media sometimes, maybe if I'm remembering correctly. She might be. I feel like I've seen a somewhat recent photo of her, maybe. So Amy, come back to us. But yeah, I don't remember the specifics of her game, unfortunately, enough to speak confidently, but I do recall when she came back, and I feel like she did a good job switching it up, which I always love to see. I like to see an adaptable player, and she was adaptable.
See, another thing I wanted to say at the beginning but forgot was as of the time that we're recording this, I believe we recently just got the update that the Big Brother players that are competing on the season of The Amazing Race are going into sequester right now. By the time you're hearing this podcast, there's a good chance we know the names, maybe not, of that cast. Would love to see someone like an Amy on that season, as we're talking about like the idea of seeing her again in some capacity. Why not? Like if we're going back and we're pulling anybody that's willing to show back up, put Amy on The Amazing Race. Imagine she's on there. That's crazy. That would be crazy.
That would be kind of amazing. I would be actually scared because of like we talked about Big Brother 2 and Big Brother 3, and then they came up on the wheel, and then if we're talking about Amy and she's on the season of The Amazing Race, that would be a little scary.
I think we'll have to do like an
for me personally
podcast, and we'll have to like pop back in before the episode goes up and be like, guys, you will not believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amy, I'm on probably the player on Big Brother 3. Is this fair to say that had the least win equity overall?
Probably. I mean, she wasn't the best socially in the house. Obviously, she was very outwardly just sort of like snobby to people. She was calling Kiara Kihora and everything.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
So there was not really a lot of love lost. And I do think that, for the friendships or alliances that she did have, I think that she was sort of at the bottom of the totem pole. Obviously, I mean, Roddy, your own ally, the one that she had a crush on, put her ass up on the block because she was just too controversial of a fixture in the house. And then her and Marcelas were kind of up and down a lot too, because I mean, they were great friends, but they also kind of had like a little bit of a toxic like through line half the time, because Marcelas could also be kind of mean as well. So it was just like, I feel like she just really struggled to find her placement. I do think that being away for a bit helped out a lot, because you're right, Katie, when she did come back into the house, it was sort of like with this air of like vulnerability, like having all these people get her out and then having to deal with the fact that like, yeah, you know what, I probably wasn't playing the best. I do think that, and she wasn't perfect, obviously, she still got into it with people, but there was like more, I remember like a lot of the episodes editing to show her talking about how she just really just felt the need to be accepted by people. So I felt like that was a nice sort of like character growth moment. But in terms of like her skills for the game, nah, but she was definitely a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, you were talking about the Marcelas dynamic, of course, like they're friends on and off so much throughout the season. The uncomfortableness of all of that was all of the talk about Amy's drinking, and how much people were like coming down on her because
she was She was drinking, honey.
She enjoyed a beverage or two, and whenever they would have too many beverages available and she had too much to drink, they just were like sick of putting up with her, and kind of were diagnosing her themselves within the house. And that's like not the most fun to like really look back on, but it was a big part of why her and Marcelas got into so many problems. And you I think generally had like a Danielle there to kind of keep her on like a calm like playing field, I guess, and kind of cool things off when things would get heated. Jason too, Roddy to an extent, was a comfort source for Amy, and the Roddy Amy relationship was particularly noteworthy, where you have Amy hating Kiara so much because she had a crush on Roddy, and then eventually Kiara's gone, and then Amy's like, oh, I have Roddy all to myself, I can just flirt with him, and we see how she ends up being one of like the final nails in Roddy's coffin when she, I think, she has the veto and she doesn't use it on him, even though she had said that she would, or something like that, right? Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
I mean, I'm looking at the thing here. She had that veto, I think, and I think she was asking Roddy, like, would you still protect me going forward if I use it on you? And he like couldn't give her 100% answer that like she was going to be his priority, and she was smart enough to detect, well, then I'm not going to use the veto on you.
That's your answer.
Yeah.
No answer is an answer. So
by no means the strongest player of the season in general, not even top half. But I don't know. Can Amy beat someone on this wheel? Sure.
I don't know. She's not. Now after that first couple spins, anything is possible, honey.
Oh my god!
So she made it further than probably anybody thought she would, right? Got to give her that.
Yeah.
Even just like getting back into the house. I mean, you have that vote. First of all, she advances to like the second round of getting back in, which was how much money are you willing to give up, right? And then like how many days would you go on J if you got back in the house? She gets those right to compete against Eric, and then Eric gets what, like 1 or 2 paddles to come back in, while everybody else raises it for Amy. Of course, Eric was a bigger threat. So, but like, look, social game. She had friends.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some controversy too about like how much she knew coming back into the game? Because like,
I think so.
She was telling Marcelas that he had a lot of fans, and that was like back when they would sequester them like in Mexico, because
you see like the clips of her during the season, like on the beach in Mexico or wherever she was.
That's right. Yeah,
like, talking to people like,
I'm like, what the fuck, like. Like, because she's in Mexico, they're not supposed to know anything. Like, there are some people in Mexico that speak English, and they watch American television. Like, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Choices were made.
Amy, definitely a legend of the early seasons of Big Brother. Maybe not like the most talked about one. Like, I know Taryn just did the Big Brother 3 retrospect podcast, and I don't think Amy made the DVD cover. But as far as like that vote is concerned, probably like top half of that, at least. A memorable character.
Yeah, sure. I feel like the Marcelas relationship really was the standout for Amy. I always, in my mind, those two, aside from all the other Marcelas stuff, but those two, they were always kind of linked up.
They were so sweet. It was so nice to watch.
When they were good, they were good. When they were bad,
it
was ugly. Like he would come down on her in ways that like as if he was her parent. And it came from generally a place of like caring about her, but it was still.
I think sometimes it was just downright mean, and I'm like, well, damn, maybe you're driving her drink, like. So,
So Amy Cruz has come up on the wheel, but we do need to find her an opponent.
Right.
If anybody out there is rooting for Amy, you got to be rooting for.
I feel like Amy has some fans out there.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference between like a fan though and someone who's like, I need her to win this matchup. I wonder.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Like where's the middle section of that? The fans and the I need to see her advance in the competition for the best Big Brother player of all time. Let's find her an opponent.
Yeah, Venn diagram, not a huge overlap there, probably.
Let's see what happens next. Imagine. It's Martin. No, it's not. Wait, no fucking way.
It
Big Brother 4.
My goodness.
Was Marcelas
Thank you,
big white
Katie.
ex
Everybody
brother?
say it in the comments.
Oh, I
Old
should have
school Big
binged before I
Brother.
came on this podcast.
Well, you wouldn't have had to binge much in Big Brother 4 in order to get to Amanda Craig. The everybody say it together. The first person to have sex in the Big Brother house, or at least one of the two first
Oh
people.
yeah.
One of the two.
I was gonna
What a
God,
legacy.
it
What a
takes two
legacy.
to tango. Somebody.
Yeah.
She was having sex with somebody.
Yeah. The first
So-
duo of many
I just like need
to
to throw
soil
this
the
out there that
house.
like the reason the Diary Room podcast exists is for matchups like Amy Cruz versus Big Brother 4's Amanda Craig. Like that is why this is created and why we have been able to make it to almost the halfway point of the round. End of story. Aman,
I love
what do
it.
we have on Amanda?
Amanda entered the house along with the other exes as part of the X Factor twist, and Amanda was faced with her ex-fiance Scott. She was the first one targeted when Nathan won the first HOH comp and put her on the block against fellow XG. The Elite Eight considered sparing Amanda to turn on Scott after Dana won the POV. However, when he was expelled from the house, Amanda's fate was sealed as she became the first person to be evicted in a 9-0 vote, officially placing 12th.
This is going to be interesting. I really feel like this could be an interesting discussion of who is better at Big Brother, generally speaking, because Katie, Amanda didn't have much time in there, and while her story has become more of a comical one for fans over the years, you know, the first one of the first two people to engage in intercourse in the house, I feel like my memory of her is not that she was like a flame out first boot.
I feel like I recall the same about Amanda, and I think her story was so tied to Scott, her ex Scott,
Yes,
that
who, yeah.
did she have a real chance? I guess with I mean, I don't know. Decisions were made, and those decisions I feel like kind of got her to where she was, but yeah, I think she could have I don't know. I have to also again like refresh my memory on just her gameplay specifically because I feel like the Scott part of it and the getting expelled and then, the intercourse in the house, those are the standout things for me that I feel like her game unfortunately falls to the background for me
There
when
wasn't much
she
of
comes
it.
up. Yeah, like
Yeah.
she didn't have a lot of time, but I do feel like socially obviously she was
She made some connections.
she made some connections.
Oh yeah, she connected.
Yeah, she did.
I mean, it's just so crazy to me because Big Brother would never show this shit on TV anymore.
Right,
but
I
they
know.
literally aired it on national television for both David and Amanda's family to see. And then, like, which one of them was like, "Grandma's gonna love this"? I was
Oh
like,
my
I think
god.
David.
no.
And it's just like so messy too, because I mean, look, we know what BB9 ended up being, a similar vein of like, oh, people that know each other, or some people that knew each other. But just like this is so many exes, and you have David's ex right over there. You have Amanda's ex. I don't know if this happened though when Scott was still in the house. He got expelled pretty quickly. But then you just have Amanda left. And so like the whole dynamic of Big Brother 4, you have the people that came in first. It was the X Factor twist. And so when the exes come in, the rest of the house kind of forms a group to say, let's get them out. And Amanda, I think you said this, Aman, right? She was on the block against G. And she was never surviving that with a player like June in the house who knew the value of having G around. And so while June was going to be going to work, plus G had a good social game and made connections early on, she never stood a chance there, but she just didn't do anything wrong to my memory. People that were there watching in real time, feel free to chime in and tell me that I'm wrong, but I just feel like she got nominated as an easy person to go up and had some fun in the HOH room and then was like, okay, we'll see you later, Amanda. Nice knowing you.
I mean, it's kind of fucked that she,
pardon the pun.
Like you're in the HOH room and then you're still evicted. Just kidding. Woo! Irony is not lost on me, but yeah, I don't remember her necessarily doing anything, at least from the edited cut, because I wasn't there for feeds. I don't remember there being anything egregious about her game. I just think that she, unfortunately, is tied to someone who loses his mind within the first couple of days,
Yeah.
being there. And I think that in order to like make the house as normal as possible, you kind of just expel those that are causing issues. So I think that she's just guilty by association at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just tough to assess her as a player because of course we didn't get to see much. 12 days, like of course you can argue like, oh, if she was any semblance of a good player, she would have been able to stay against a big threat like G. But we're also talking early Big Brother G, who still had an ex in the house and had someone working with him for him. They weren't working like directly together at this point, but just like again, June seeing the value in G being there for her game for the foreseeable future. Amanda didn't have that anymore. And even if Scott was still in the house, having not been expelled, Scott's not doing what June was doing to help her out. Amanda versus Amy. This is fun.
I'm sorry. I don't know what energy I brought here, but I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
Or you're welcome. One of the two. I can't really tell.
Definitely you're welcome. Definitely, again, hashtag thank you, Katie, because this has been fun so far. There's not much else to say about Amanda. That's the story. That's what we got to see. We know her Big Brother lore. And I'm like generally, honestly, truly inclined to say that if both of these two individuals were on Big Brother All-Stars, for example, or just like, I don't know, a random season after me knowing more about them, I think I'm taking Amanda first in a draft over Amy, thinking that if things don't break Amanda or do break Amanda's way, that she has better people skills to go far and get to the end. I mean, we see Amy again win that vote to get back in over Eric and be social enough that she had people that liked her. But I still think of like the end game where I'm like, she couldn't have beat anybody. I don't think at the end game, unless the jury was so bitter at Danielle, which I don't think we know the answer to that of like Danielle versus Amy definitively. I don't think, but I don't know. Anybody have a strong feeling of Amy versus Amanda?
I just think that we are able to see how Amy adapts to the game, given that she gets the chance to come back and she does an okay job after coming back. I think that that's sort of like the closest thing that you can get towards someone playing twice. And based off of what we have, I think that it's kind of hard. I mean, I feel bad for not really being able to give Amanda more, but
she got plenty in there.
She got plenty.
She did.
Grandma was watching.
David's
so
grandma.
I think I think I gotta go ahead and give it to Amy here. I'm sorry, Amanda. You got to go.
Katie, feeling similarly or
I think, Samantha, I think you make a really good point, because if we put them into, let's just say like a modern day Big Brother house, I do feel like Amanda could acclimate probably pretty well. I feel like she could get herself probably into some kind of like majority alliance, or at least like skate by a couple of weeks and, you know, lay some groundwork, or at least see how she adapts. But I just don't think we have the body of work, again, kind of no pun intended, to compare her to Amy, where we have a full season of Amy and we only have 12 days of Amanda. And we have some game to compare from Amy. We just don't really have that much from Amanda. So for that reason, I have to say Amy for sure. But I do think you make a good point that if we got to see her again, I think she could have been okay. We just, we don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm going to come down to, you know, even if it didn't make a difference, I would still consider throwing a vote here and making it a 2-1. But I think I got to give it to Amy. This is a very funny matchup. And I don't know, I'm like thinking of the moments for Amy where she, with the Roddy deal, with the veto, you know, just recognizing again that Roddy didn't have her best interest, even though she was like kind of in love with him as much as it seemed to us. But she decided not to save him. And, you know, probably some influence from a Jason or a Danielle, not probably, a lot of influence from them and Marcelas throughout the season and along the way. So it's not like I think all of her game was solely through herself. But I think she had enough chops from what we saw, just over, like you guys were saying, the nothing that we really have, unfortunately, from Amanda. So Amy Cruz, welcome to round 2.
Yeah, come on, Amy. She's back again.
I didn't see it happening, but I'm not upset about it. Definitely the legacy picks. Look, we need as many of these old school players in, and this was old school versus old school, season 3 versus 4. So tough to make that call either way. But Amy's going to be the second player from her season to advance to keep Big Brother 3 in the conversation. So would you look at that?
Yeah.
Would you look at it?
Amon, you don't have any like Amy quotes off the top of your head?
No, I haven't watched season 2 enough to like really have those ones like stuck in there, unfortunately.
You would do some good Amy impressions if you had the quotes ready to go.
I'm sure I would. I need to watch it a few more times.
She put her heart into those, like, Marcelas, I don't think this is very nice. Just like whatever the hell she was saying about him.
It looks like you got it covered.
Yeah, if I had a correct statement, I would have made an effort or a correct quote. All right. Well, Katie, I don't know what energy you brought with us today, but let's see. We got one more matchup.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I said, I should have binged these old seasons just to refresh my memory.
No, we're all doing great so far, and this one's going to be just as fun.
I'm hoping for a celebrity thrown in here somewhere, just for fun.
I'll do the spirit fingers. Give it some magic. What is it? What is it?
Wow.
Well,
Erica Landon.
We're just determined to go back in time.
This is quite literally insane. Look, people started this episode and they were like, who? Jonathan, who? And then you stick around and you get
Erica.
Wait, why can't I find her notes? Where is she?
She should be in BB4, probably. If you're looking.
Oh, okay. I was scrolling past her name like multiple times. Okay.
Back to back Big Brother 4 players is wild. Also, let me look again for the stat, people. Big Brother 4 has not come up for us in 30 episodes of this podcast before today. And now we have 2 players back to back.
Well, you know, where they are making themselves known. They were getting pissed off. They were like, excuse me. We exist, you know.
Big Brother 2 had not come up in 14 episodes, and Big Brother 3 had not come up in only 6 episodes. But
okay.
Thank you, Katie.
Wow.
All right. Aman, what do we have for Erica as I pull her graphic up?
Erica. In BB4, Erica was remembered for being part of the Elite 8 in her friendship with Jack. She came in 4th place when Allison cast the sole vote to evict her. Her ex-boyfriend Robert was also in the house as part of the X Factor twist. Erica was one of the 20 former house guests given the chance to compete in Big Brother 7 and was selected by the public to enter the house. Erica was known for her showmance with Mike and exposing Will's lies to Janelle, which resulted in Will's eviction at the Final Four. Erica ultimately lost to Mike in a 6-1 vote, only receiving 1 vote to win.
Remind me who voted for her. Do we know who voted for her?
Was it Janelle? Did Janelle vote for Boogie?
Janelle, who the hell voted for her?
Sorry.
BB7. No, I like the question. Scroll. Who voted for Erica? Who would have done such a thing in Big Brother 7? It was Marcelas.
Oh, Marcelas.
Kind of king for that, you know?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, he's gonna go against the grain if it's the last thing he does.
Katie, I have to hope and imagine that we have more to say all collectively here about Erica than we did about Amanda.
Yes, for sure. Well, you know, I took it personally that Erica was a downfall for my guy, Dr. Will. Like I said earlier, I'm a Dr. Will girly. But I will say, you know, Erica, I felt impressed by Erica's gameplay. She's someone else I would also like to see come back and play maybe a 3rd time. I don't know how likely that is. I think she does casting for Below Deck or something, actually, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, again, been a minute since I watched Big Brother 4, but I do remember specifically her relationship with Jack being like one of the relationships in the house that stood out the most for me. And that definitely came in clutch for her in the game. Yeah, I don't know. Erica, I felt like was a little bit of a, I don't want to say dark horse because I wasn't necessarily underestimating her, but I felt impressed by her gameplay in both Big Brother 4 and Big Brother 7.
She, of course, when she gets to Big Brother 7, you have like, again, I wasn't there in real time, but just like the sentiment seems to have been like, why is this person here over a couple of other like people that people might have rather see? And especially when she gets all the way to the end, you're like, really? Like, this is a person that took a spot here. Like, just kind of seeing how it played out. Like, I was not, as a binge watcher of BB4 and BB7, like upset to see her there, but there are certainly players that both didn't get voted in. I mean, I'm looking directly at you, Monica, Big Brother 2, Monica Bailey.
That's a crime, actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, that spot. Come on. And just like other people that didn't get voted in, Dana was more drama, and probably brings a little bit more, rather than Erica just kind of like, all right, she's just kind of chilling, showmancing with Boogie, and then not a whole lot to discuss when it comes to the end game. I mean, like the Erica and Janelle at the end of Big Brother 7, like the two of them coming together and like, oh, they think they're playing us, but they're not. Like, that's fun for a couple minutes, but otherwise,
that felt like not a defining moment necessarily, but like one of the standout moments of Big Brother 7 to me was Janelle and Erica coming together and sitting in the backyard and kind of like exposing Dr. Will's lies. And I don't want to say 100% that is the reason why Will didn't win, but that was a huge factor of why Will didn't get to the end and become our first 2-time winner of Big Brother, because I do think he, I mean, again, wasn't there in real time. It's been a minute, but I do think if it's him and Boogie somehow at the end, like Will probably takes it. I would have to imagine, right?
I think so.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Erica's interesting to me because I feel like both times she sort of played an under the radar type of game. And I think that she had the misfortune, I think, her first season of being cast with June and Allison. Because I think whereas Allison certainly was sort of more of the vocal side of that duo, wheeling and dealing, and June sort of was like the more underhanded, undercut side of that duo, and people really sort of respected just how much was going on, and also kind of had like a little bit of malice towards Allison. I felt like after this whole, oh my God, this is the best floater game of all time type deal, that's when I feel like people began to get extremely anti-floater, get all the people that like are, you know, but we want people that are actually active in the game to win. So by the time BB7 rolls around and she kind of emulates a little bit more of like what June had going on, not so much like really going back and forth between people in the same way that modern floaters do, but just sort of just like keep her own target, like her own threat level very, very low, but still speak to everybody. I feel like at that point, everyone was like, no. And like with Will sitting next, or Boogie sitting next to you, like, girl, what did you do? Even though she does have some cool moves in getting out Will, that was a great move. Probably a little too late. Maybe you and Janelle should have teamed up a little earlier and got both Will and Boogie out of there. Then this is an entirely different game. You probably still lose to Janelle, but I think that there's still there's a much higher chance of you winning at that point. I think that getting rid of Danielle was stupid for her. Should have kept Danielle, but what are you gonna do? So I feel like I feel like she is still a little bit underrated, but I think that people also sort of overestimate just how much floating she really was doing. So I think I agree with you, because I think, wasn't she in the conversation for BB 22 as well? Like, I feel like I heard her name getting floated around a bunch of times as well.
I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, so I don't know if she'd ever come back. At this point, it's probably never going to happen. But
I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think she's going to get picked at this point. But I do think she stayed relatively involved in keeping an eye. Like, she was on RHAP only a couple of years ago, like being interviewed by Rob. So she's like kept up enough in recent years. I don't know like exactly today what she's keeping up with, but again, if like, you know, I don't know if Big Brother Amazing Race, maybe give her a call, just an availability check.
One I could see actually potentially just like randomly showing up on an Amazing Race Big Brother season. Yeah.
It's like, you know how Drag Race and their All-Star seasons, a lot of the All-Star seasons are like heavily more modernized now. A lot of like, more recent characters come back, and there's usually like one hallmark, season 1, season 2 queen on the show. I feel like if there were to ever be another like All-Stars one, she would be one of the ones that gets picked, I think, before many of the other ones for sure.
Erica's somebody who's just going to go deep into every game she plays. And that's credit to her. That's credit to her being certainly not like top tier Big Brother player, but she is like one of the most like experienced. And I don't know if floater is the right term for this. Just like coasters probably.
Yeah, I think
Got to know your difference between coasters and floaters. And sometimes I don't. But just she coasts through these games, and nobody ever thinks let's take out Erica in the pre-jury portion of the game. She's just chilling. She's just there. She's just Erica living in the house. And she's not threatening to you. Of course, in BB4, she has the connection with her ex Robert that like is not great all the time, but also is not the most, volatile of all of the different ex pairings. And then in BB7, again, she's just kind of like one of the least threatening players amongst a group of sharks. No one was going to take Erica out of the game. Right. It would have taken very specific circumstances, I feel like, to have her evicted before the end of that game. And if it didn't happen. So, something to say, of course, again, for the fact that if we saw her on 3 more seasons since BB7, I think she goes equally as far every single time because of how she is in the game. And that definitely could win her a lot of matchups in this, like whoever she comes up against next. I feel like I'm favoring her right now, but I don't think it's guaranteed. No.
Yeah, nothing is guaranteed. These wheel spins today have been. We'll see.
So I don't know. Anybody have anything else on Erica Landon, 2-time player?
No, I think.
Two-time player.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think to your point, Matt, is that like she probably does make it similarly deep, if that's proper English, but I do think I don't know that she will ever have, if she plays again, like a ton of win equity. I think we would need to see more. I don't know if it's adaptability or just switching it up a little bit versus what we saw from her in her 2 seasons, but I do think she makes it far. I just don't know if she ever would be a winner.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I see that path for her in any season she could have really been put on, but maybe Big Brother Amazing Race. Maybe that's her win. But by now, by this episode coming out, you guys know the cast and you're like, she's not there. What are you talking about? But
it's a wish list.
Yeah, maybe she is. And then again, we have to come back on and figure out how we put these names on this list together. All right.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I never thought about that. Like, what if there is like some random ass Big Brother All-Star season that is gonna ruin well, not necessarily All-Stars, but another returnee season, and now we have to start thinking about their new placement, but they're already eliminated. It's like, when do you do that?
That's true.
Are we ready to find Erica an opponent?
We are.
Last player pulled of the day. We had a random BB Can pick early on, and then since it's been BB2, BB3, BB4, BB4. So Big Brother 5, come on down.
Come on, Big Brother 5.
Let's see who's up next.
This is going to be another modern player. I just know it is. We open
modern
with a
player?
Modern player.
Let's see. Oh, I think we're back to BB Can. We are. We're back to BB Can 8, Katie's first season, and that's talk about a player, but that is okay because you know what it is. I think today in real time recording is the 5-year anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic being declared
oh my god
pandemic by the World Health Organization. I think that's what Patrick tweeted today. And so only fitting that we talk about a Big Brother 8 player, and that is Madeline. Did she ever go by Maddie or was it Madeline?
It was Maddie.
She went by Maddie. Yeah.
So Maddie Denunzio. Look, for me, standout player of the season, standout personality of the season. I liked Maddie.
I liked Maddie too, and I also got to play a little sequester with Maddie.
You did, didn't you? I feel like she was. Yeah, she popped up once or twice around then.
That's right.
Yeah. There really isn't a lot for her. The wiki just has Madeline Denunzio was a house guest on Big Brother Canada 8.
And that she was.
She sure was. Yes.
But what I remember from her game is that she was part of the Evictors, which was comprised of her and Jean-Luc and Michael and Rianne. And they were sort of like the other side of the house that would eventually probably become opposition towards what Sheldon had going on. Sheldon and Brooke were, scheming, and then you have like sort of like the middle of the house that is like just all over the place with Carol trying to quit and Kyle and Jamar fighting and the other guy already quitting. And it was just the whole, and Hira being the eventual Canada's favorite player because he was just sitting there like, everybody in here is crazy. I'm just here to play the game. I just want to win. But Maddie, she had some fight in her at the very least. I forget who was it that she was arguing with. Was it Kyle as well? It might have been Kyle because I feel like everybody argued with Kyle at one point.
Probably.
And I like that she sort of like took initiative because I feel like it was mainly her and Michael that were like, we got to get an alliance together. We like 4 of us, we can split up and try to, control the votes in the house. So I liked that initiative. She had a lot of spunk in her. She had a lot of fight in her. I don't know how long she would have lasted because she sort of did poke her head up amongst the rest of her allies. So she might have been the one to have it chopped off first. But she was fun for the 2.5 weeks that they were in there.
Katie, before we get deeper into Maddie, I just want to ask you a general Big Brother 8 question.
Yeah.
Big Brother Canada 8 question. Who would you say, I mean, it's a kind of consensus opinion, but I'm just curious if you agree. You don't have to. Who's the best player from BB Can 8?
I mean, it's got to be Sheldon, right?
I think that's the general answer. I'm just guessing. You might not have been able to hear today's episode yet that dropped today. So Sheldon came up on the wheel, and we were talking about how this is probably the player that goes the furthest in this bracket from BB Can 8, and he was matched up against Netta.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sheldon.
Yeah.
Pour one out.
It's just not in the cards for Sheldon, period.
Yeah, or BB Can 8 in general.
Or BB Can 8.
Yeah, not doing so well on the bracket. What's their stats here? BB Can 8 so far has had 1 player go through and 4 players have not. We'll see which side of that Maddie joins. But Katie, any specific memories of Maddie on your end of things?
No, I feel like my memory of Maddie is very similar amount to yours, is that it did feel like she was one of the standout I think among the chaotic energy of that house, Maddie could have been a good, a good standout player. Whereas we had the Carols and all the people quitting and just like the messiness, it felt like she really was there to play. So it is unfortunate that we didn't really get to see too much from her. But I did feel like she had some promise. She's one of the people I would have actually expected to come back from this season. I think there were probably, it was her for me, Brooke or Sheldon, and I'm actually shocked we didn't see any of them come back. But I feel like she also, even after Big Brother, like she stayed a part of the Big Brother community, I guess. Like I feel like she goes to the social events in Canada. She was always around on social media and stuff. So I feel like she was in it. She wanted to play. She wasn't a showmance, right? With Michael, the only person to get evicted from the house the whole season.
I don't know that like it was like the showiest showmance that we've had, but
the beginning of a showmance. Yeah. I think she actually would have done well. If she wasn't like a sacrificial lamb for her side of the house, where, she went a little too, maybe sacrificial lamb isn't the right phrasing because that makes it seem like they just put her up to get her out without her doing much. But I do think she would have been a formidable opponent, let's say, to the other side of the house if we got a chance to really see the game play out. But I think between all the mess, the quits, the COVID, unfortunately, we didn't really get to see as much of any of the true game.
She was a fighter, I feel. I mean, that veto, the one veto win she has there, where she was on the block and she I feel like needed that win. I think she was up against Rianne. Is that her name? That was also a member of that alliance. And she needed that veto win to stay safe because she was the one of the targets on that side. It was just this group of the young, pretty people that formed a clique in the house or an alliance, happens on a lot of shows from time to time. And the Sheldon side, Kyle, Vanessa, were looking at them and looking at Maddie as a smart player, somebody that they shouldn't let get very far. But Maddie, again, she was scrappy. She was a fighter in there. She was working it with Jamar a little bit to try to get him on their side, which would have brought Min Lee over. And then Jamar gets expelled, and then it just, one thing after another in this season. But definitely a standout. I was a big fan in the 25 days that we had of her, just because, not even just because she was a standout, but like the rest of the cast was not. So, you're looking at like, who are we rooting for here? And I was sad to lose Michael, handsome man. And then sad to lose everybody when she is sent packing along with everybody else on day 25. We talk about, from time to time when BB Can 8 does come up, I don't know, the general insanity of how that all went down. But Katie, you talked about Maddie, Sheldon, and Brooke like being the potential players to come back. I think those are the right picks for sure. Do we think have we ever talked about, is there a world that they didn't bring anyone back because maybe they felt like things could get messy and they would have to bring everybody back? They don't have to, but
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, they can do whatever the fuck they want to do, right? Like,
right.
They're to throw a tantrum because they didn't get asked back. Like, and if you I'm sorry, like if you didn't make the most of your time in the Big Brother house and enough to raise your profile to even be considered an all-star, then that's on you, buddy. That just goes to show, like when people that are on the show are always like, enjoy your time, enjoy it as much as you can, be yourself as much as you can. Big Brother Canada 8 is a prime reason why, because you just never know what's going to happen. So I don't know if it has anything to do with like hurting feelings of the house guests, but maybe it's just, I think it may just be one of those things where it's like, we want to have a quick like cut from what happened so we can just move on into the future, because it's just too much to think about. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like there was so much working against that season, unfortunately, between the dynamics in the house, the pandemic, the expulsions, the quit. I mean, it was just so much even before we got to that point. It just, I wouldn't be surprised, to your point, if they just wanted to have like a clean break. Let's just leave it where it is.
Sure.
I think a Maddie could be someone who, if we ever, which we probably will never, got like a US Big Brother versus Canada Big Brother, I could see her popping in on a season like that. And I could actually see her making good relationships with a lot of like the Big Brother US players of the past, maybe. So that would be exciting if that ever happened. But again, pipe dream, I don't think it ever will. But yeah, I don't know.
If it ever comes back and they do a proper all-star season for Canada, then why not? I say include maybe one or two Big Brother Canada 8 people. It's only fair. I don't know how much of a disadvantage it would be, because maybe, all the other all-stars smell water in the blood. They're like, oh, Canada's going to be rooting for these ones because they didn't get the chance to play. Get them out now. Or if it works in their favor, and it's sort of like plot armor, because people are like, oh, we're going to leave the Big Brother Canada 8 people alone because that's not fair. That's bullying if we get them out first. The pandemic took their asses out. Now we have to. So I don't know. I'll hold out hope for it. It's still not too far out of the ether, so who knows? But Big Brother Canada has to come back for that to happen. Go ahead, Matt.
No, just I mean, we're talking about BB Ken in general. Will it come back or not? The other side of that is that the Traitors Canada is still happening.
True.
It's renewed for another season, and they've pulled Big Brother Canada players all of the seasons they've had so far, all 2 of them. And so while I don't think that necessarily like a Maddie is like super high on their list, it could happen. And I also think that if it does happen for somebody with a low profile like a Maddie, like I wonder, like, do they even mention that she was on Big Brother Canada, or are they just like, here's a brand new face for you? Like, does she mention it? Does production mention it?
Oh, no,
I don't
they
know.
have to. They have to.
But that's
you
what
think they would?
do.
I almost feel like they would just
I think they breeze
like
right
sweep
over
it under
it.
the rug a little bit of just like, yeah, appeared on.
Like, I don't think
something.
they'd tell her you can't talk about Big Brother because we're not going to make
Right.
that your story. But I think if she talked about it, they would just not include it unless she happened to be like the winner
I
of
don't
the
think it's
Traitors.
a bad story to tell, though. I just think, I mean, it's a very unique experience to have on reality
It
TV.
is.
It's like, you know, I was on reality TV in real time dealing with the pandemic, and so, you know, imagine having to do that. Like, no one else on this cast probably can say that. So I think it's a really novel story to tell. I don't think, I mean, and there's no point shying away from it because people are going to talk about it anyway. Like, they're going to tell the whole cast, "Oh, that was that girl that was on the pandemic season." Like, that sounds silly to me, but who knows? I liked Maddie. I liked the fact that she stuck up for Jamar during that whole Kyle
Me
versus
too.
Jamar nonsense. I liked that, you know, I don't know if it was the best for her alliance, but they were going to end up targeting Vanessa and Chris if they were to come into power, which would have really just been the best thing for people like Sheldon and Brooke. So I don't know if the victors were on the proper path in the beginning, but the season was so topsy-turvy that I don't think it was really possible for many of them to be on the perfect path. But, you know, I thought she definitely had her head in the game. She was there to play, and that's all you can really ask for in a Big Brother player.
I haven't voted first tonight, so I'll get the ball rolling here. And not unfortunately the toughest decision. We've had a lot of easy decisions in recent episodes, and again, I say that's okay. We'll have a lot more tough decisions and fights along the way in future episodes and future rounds. But for now, I think we'll have a worthwhile discussion with Erica if she's advancing here when we get to round 2 and maybe even beyond. So unfortunately, did not see enough from Maddie, while Erica, again, I think she just coasts right on through in most seasons, and being there at the end game gives you a chance to win. Even if I don't feel it's the most likely, it just feels like there's more there with Erica than there is with Maddie from BB Can 8. Katie, are you shaking your head in agreement with me, or?
I am. I mean, listen, Erica took money home at the end of the day, right? So that's something. And unfortunately, Maddie didn't get to finish the season. I think, Erica, yes, we've seen a lot more from her. She is obviously a formidable player. I think it definitely makes sense for her to be the one that moves on. And then hopefully we'll see Maddie again somewhere in the future and be able to properly analyze how she is able to play a full game of something.
I remember, like you said, Amon, seeing a sequester game or two with Maddie. So it was nice to see her pop back in there and just like, what else, can we get out of this person who didn't get enough time on TV? Are you going to make it a 3-0 vote here for Erica or give Maddie some love?
Yeah, I love Maddie, but do I give her a pity vote? You know what? I haven't voted Rogue in a while. I'm voting for Maddie to go through. Bye, Erica.
I love it.
Woo! They're gonna come for me, but I don't care.
I love it.
When your vote actually means something, that's when people are going to come for you. A pity vote is loud. But we actually have a patron vote for Maddie, and she's advancing. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, I would die in the best way. Like, what an upset. That would be amazing.
That's why the pity vote is scary. And unfortunately for the mechanics of the format here, I know the patron votes. Amon doesn't. So he could actually do a pity vote that makes that happen, but it wasn't today.
Would have been a good one.
But I guess it
would have been like the perfect chaotic point to this chaotic matchup.
Like, would you have changed your vote or would you have just let it happen?
No, just let it happen. I can't pity someone and then take the pity away. Like, that's horrible. Like,
you've done worse.
Well,
Okay. Well, let's recap what we did here today in this most recent matchup. Erica, Landon, 2-time Big Brother player from season 4 and 7, advances to the next round, while Big Brother Canada 8's Maddie, who did not finish her season along with the rest of her castmates, does not advance in this bracket either, unfortunately. A battle of BB3 versus BB4 ended in victory from Big Brother 3. Amy Cruz is advancing to the next round against Amanda with quite a legacy of her own from Big Brother 4, but that legacy is staying behind in round 1, while the first matchup of the day saw another old school legend player. Stay behind in round 1. Autumn Daly is not advancing, and we send her our best, while Jonathan from BB Can 11 is advancing. So look, BB Can celebrating. We had 2 players here. At least one of them made it through, and also we had 5 women in this episode. So hey, let's celebrate that.
Hey,
Love that.
Happy Women's History Month.
Let's go, ladies. Yeah.
It was Women's Celebration Day, or what's the name of the holiday? Like 2 days ago, something like that. So
International Women's Day.
Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, how man of you, Matt.
I mean, I was
too busy
also,
celebrating.
it was a
to get the
question
name right.
for me, so yeah, we partied too hard to know what the name was in
Exactly.
celebration of women. So,
Katie, thank you so much for joining. You were worried about the energy that you brought to the wheel, but I think it was great, and I think you were great. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, I think a lot of the patrons and a lot of the viewers are going to like this one because it is. I feel like we don't get a lot of old school love on here, so this was good.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. And I'm sorry I don't have more specifics to say about these players' games. It really has been a minute since I have binged these seasons.
But
Autumn and Amanda, thanks for not having anything more to say about Amanda.
It is perfectly okay. And I'd like to remind everybody, this is round 1. Okay. We're going to be talking about a lot of these players multiple times over on this podcast. So we can't talk about every little thing from the top because we have to have things to talk about later on down the line. So that was perfectly fine.
Yeah. Katie, where can people find you online? Any podcasting or anything at all that you want anyone to be checking out?
Sure. Well, if you would like to keep up with me on the internet these days, I'm on Blue Sky at realslimkatie.bluesky.social. And you can check out some of my podcasts on Silent Podcasts. We're on YouTube and all the podcast apps. And I cover on our network the Traitors and Big Brother. And I pop in and out of Deal or No Deal Island this season. So plenty of me on Silent Podcast YouTube feed and podcast feed if you want to keep up with any of my actual opinions of games that I've watched in recent memory.
Love it. For myself, I'll just say check out the Free Agents podcast. As always, we have wrapped up the coverage of the Traitors, but we are always talking challenge, some challenge rewatching going on, either as you look in your feed now or very soon. And that's it. Of course, always check us out on Patreon for the full Diary Room experience to vote in Battlebacks, where some of these losers will get a chance to come back in. Speaking of the losers, we do a bracket of the losers every 5 episodes. We take all of them and find the worst of the bunch. So maybe one of these 3 losers from today will be that biggest loser of the batch. Definitely could be. We'll see. But yeah, that's what's going on over there. You can cast a vote if you want to cast your own vote for somebody in this bracket if you are a Coven tier level patron. But that is all of that. Please leave us 5-star ratings and reviews in the Apple Podcast feed, also Spotify, anywhere you can to give us that extra boost. If you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate it. Subscribe, like the video, do all those things. Anything that you can think of while you're watching or decompressing from the episode to show your support. But Aman, what else?
You can follow me at Amon Adwin everywhere. Drag Race 17 is still going on strong. RuPaul just did an interview the other day where he just said that they are about to start filming season 28 and that he is.
Did you say 28?
Or 18, excuse me.
How long was I asleep?
But he'll probably be here for season 28 because in that same interview he also was like, you will have to they're gonna have to drag me out of the studio. So that was his little response to all of the conversations that y'all have been having about his retirement and who's going to be replacing him. He's not going anywhere, y'all. He's going to be here in this for the long run. So check out me, Liana, and Beth over there. The most recent episode we did, Beth was out and sugar-free.
Not quite the most recent.
Oh, I guess, yeah, it wasn't the most recent. But
ago.
Sugar-Free was on the podcast 2 weeks ago. So check that one out. I don't know who's on this episode because I don't know what our schedule is. But check it out regardless. And that's it for me. I'm done talking.
And yeah, all of our socials are in the description below, so you can certainly always check that out. But I think that's going to do it for today. So again, thank you, Katie, for joining us, and Aman, take us home.
All right, thanks to Katie once again for joining us. And until next time, guys, please go to the Diary Room.